to Psalms 2. While I was deciding on what I wanted to talk about, I kind of started thinking about that I've been struggling to lately. And I want to talk about the might of God and the reverence and fear that He deserves from us. And Psalms 2 says, starting in verse 1, "Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of earth set themselves and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against His anointed, saying, Let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He sitteth in heavens, he that sitteth in heavens shall laugh, and the Lord shall have them in derision." What I want to point out is you can see man's longing for power and self-preservation, talking about setting you up in councils and rulers. But the big thing here is in verse 4 where it says that he that sitteth in heavens, he laughs, that he mocks at the sight of any human or man, thinking that he can have any sort of put up any power against God, because he is far above any works that we can do. And you can see that in many miracles that God has done, from the parting of the Red Sea. He miraculously let his children escape Egypt. The man in the wilderness, which I think was soon after, he protected them and provided for them. He's not going to let you, die. But also in the burning bush, that he protected them from a fire that even killed a sinful man. That it was that great of a fire. But God led His children through it, and it's kind of awesome. But now I want to turn to Galatians 6, verse 7. And it reads, "Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap." God won't be mocked. There's going to come a day. You can see it in what we've been studying in Daniel in chapter 2, when it talks about the multi-metallic image, and how Brother Gary pointed out how each part of the metal represented another powerful nation, which none of them lasted. But in Revelations 18, I'm going to turn there real quick. It connects to this image that it speaks to in Daniel. And it says in verse 4, speaking about, it's talking about the fall of Babylon, which this is a great nation or city that God has allowed to come together, the world's mightiest power, you could say. And in verse 4 it says, "And I heard another," in verse 3, "For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies." And I'm going to skip down to verse 8, and it says, "Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death, and mourning, and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord God who judgeth the earth." That, going back to what we read in Galatians, that says God will not be mocked, and this is the epitome of that statement, that there's going to come a day that God is going to let this great nation come about, just to prove that, one, He was right, and He always will be, and two, that He has that great of power to put us in our place. And the whole point of what I wanted to point out is that in a day-by-day basis, as children of God, we fail to put Him in the place that He deserves to be. I know I do that. That He is number one, and He will always be there. He always has been. We just need to realize that He is there, and we need to put Him in His rightful spot. And He will bless us continually here and in heaven, eternally, if we put Him in His spot. And if we don't, as it says, God will not be mocked, and there will come a day that you will see that every knee shall bow, every tongue shall confess that the Lord is great, and awesome, and that's all.